and welcome to the CoStar News Hotels podcast. I'm Natalie Harms, reporter for CoStar News, and I'm joined today by Lisa Bonifacio, Managing Director of Hyatt Lifestyle. Lisa, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to chat with you and catch up. We spoke earlier this year, and I'm really excited to kind of hear what you've been focused on this year. I know just over a year now, you have transitioned your role at Bunkhouse into the Hyatt role following the acquisition of Standard International. Can you tell me a little bit about the role you have now and how the integration of the two companies has gone?
Sure. Yeah. So we're just about a year into the acquisition, which happened last October, 2024. Up until then, I was president of Bunkhouse Hotels. And now, since the transition, I've moved into a managing director role for the lifestyle group at Hyatt under Amar Lavani, who was our executive chairman prior, who's now the president of the lifestyle group at Hyatt. The role has evolved over the course of the year. So as we got acquired into Hyatt, we kind of took into our realm, in a sense, into a newly formed lifestyle group, Hyatt's other lifestyle brands. So that includes the ones we already had, which were Standard and Standard X, and the Manor, and also then now we include Thompson, Andaz, and JDB.
Yes, and you're now based in Hong Kong, right?
I am, yeah. So once we became part of Hyatt, we already had hotels globally through the Standard part of our portfolio, and now we have a greater reach with having more lifestyle hotels. So we needed to spread around the globe a little bit more within our team. So I moved over here to both support over here in Asia Pacific, but also to continue with the Americas as well.
Yeah, we've done a lot of reporting on the evolving landscape of hotels in China. So that's exciting to see what has been the biggest kind of adjustment for you, and in terms of your role being based there.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating, amazing city. There's so much I think that people don't know about Hong Kong. There's mountains, beach, and city all mixed into one. So kind of all best of all worlds together. But Asia, I think, really has always kind of been on the leading edge of hotels. Also, the service is impeccable, and the style is amazing. So there's a lot to learn. I think for being over here in Asia, also in the hotel world, and just watching kind of how well it all works and clicks in this part of the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about Hyatt Lifestyle. The Standard acquisition is really just one part of that larger effort to grow and define Hyatt's lifestyle division, right? So can you share a little bit about the bigger picture of how Hyatt is positioning itself in the lifestyle space?
Sure. Yeah. So when we came into the Hyatt team, we kind of brought in all of our people with us, which was an important part of the deal to us, and the important part of continuing to grow Standard and Bunkhouse brands. And I think we're learning a lot from Hyatt in terms of their processes and how well they do things and how well they've grown over the years. And we're also teaching them a little bit about how we've run boutique hotels in the lifestyle space over the years. So it's been a good experience, I think, for everyone in terms of learning and growing and making moves accordingly into kind of best practices from everybody. So over the course of the past year, we've spent a lot of time learning about how Hyatt does things, and now really kind of incorporating some of that into the hotel. So now all of the hotels are part of World of Hyatt, so we can people can use points, get points, and kind of take part of all those best parts of the World of Hyatt programs.
Yeah, and how important is that loyalty program positioning with lifestyle hotels specifically, and the travelers that seek those out?
Yeah, I think, for a long time, we've been asked by a lot of our guests if we could have loyalty programs. And it is a pretty hard thing to put in place. There's a lot of dynamics behind the scenes that goes into executing a good loyalty program. And Hyatt's done a great job in getting to where it is with over 60 million members now. So I think, for us, we don't go out and that being our key selling point, but to have it and to have people know it's there and try out new hotels is important, right? You might try a Park Hyatt and not necessarily know standards even there. And for one occasion, you want Park Hyatt, but for a different girls' weekend, you want the standard, right? So there's a lot of different variations. I think that we can, bring in a new guest and a new customer into our hotels through the program.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about lifestyle hotels in general, because it is really interesting to me to see kind of the growth that's happening there. And it's also something that I feel like is coming to its own and being it's kind of hard to define. So I'm just wondering, can you tell me how does Hyatt look at lifestyle hotels? Can you, as in your role as managing director of Hyatt Lifestyle, what is a lifestyle hotel? What makes it different from any other hotels in the portfolio?
Sure. Well, I think we've spent and Amar's preached this to us a lot, but we've spent a lot of time kind of working on differentiating our own lifestyle brands first and foremost. So making sure that they're clearly distinct from one another, that they're they're succinct brands, that we can own them and we can execute them, and they're truthful, right? So like I think you see a lot of like superfluous words out there about a lifestyle hotel and it being an experience and kind of all those things and what does that actually mean, right? And so trying to drill down into what is lifestyle. Lifestyle, I think, is a different question answer to everybody. I think we feel like, we kind of feel like you know it when you feel it, right? Which is not a real answer, I know, but that's kind of I feel like to me we're not focused necessarily on the size of the room to get a certain ADR, right? We're focused on the programming, the vibe, the experience you can have when you're at the hotel to help to continue to drive our rates and drive our consumers to continue to want to come to the hotel. We're not the fanciest in terms of having the highest levels of service, but when you want to be in a more relaxed environment that kind of suits your needs for the moment, we're kind of fitting into a certain place in the market that we believe is a growing segment in the sense of people people don't always need all the bells and whistles of a luxury hotel, but they want to feel like they're in a comfortable space that they can relax with friends or family and have an enjoyable weekend or a business trip even.
Right. So it's a vibe, you know it when you see it. Tell me a little bit about the vibes of because you mentioned, the different Hyatt brands wanting to differentiate them between, and so what are some of the vibes of you can call out some specific brands and kind of give us a little insight into that.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll talk about Bunkhouse, right? Bunkhouse, we really kind of want to be that soulful experience. Our brand mission is a boutique hotel hospitality business built with soul, and I think that when you're in a Bunkhouse property, there feels like there's a lot of love and care and soul put into that, as opposed to some of our other ones. We'll take standard. That's more of a city vibe, and that one is really to defy convention, right? Our aesthetics is different, and we pride ourselves in being anything but standard. So there's a truly different feel when you're at a standard than when you're at a Bunkhouse, right? And so making sure that those properties stay different, and it might be for the same audience but at different times, but they're not. It when you're in the hotel that it's a different hotel.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to talk about Bunkhouse a little bit more. How has the brand developed under its new parent company? We're going to talk about the new hotels in Houston next, but I guess more broadly, what's been going on with Bunkhouse?
Yeah, sure. So we've kept our office in Austin and all the people that have been supporting Bunkhouse over the years. So the same team that's been doing it pre-Hyatt is still in place managing the hotels now. So that's great. Hyatt's stood to what they've always said and didn't want to change how we were doing things for the hotels. And I think hopefully you can feel that when you're at a Bunkhouse hotel, that it doesn't feel different than it did, a year and a half ago pre-Hyatt. So yeah, we've been focused on kind of building the creative side and having the Austin team also then have some influence into the other independent collection of JDV, which is part of the Lifestyle Group now as well, which is also independent hotels. And so we've expanded that team's um, role into helping shape some of the other lifestyle brands.
Awesome. Well, I guess, let's talk about Bunkhouse. The two newest hotels for Bunkhouse, which are in Houston, which is where I live. So it's really cool for me to get to see these two deliver into two very unique neighborhoods of my hometown. But let's start with the Hotel St. Augustine, which has been open for almost a year and has really, I think, made a big splash. I know I saw has made some of the lists for Esquire and Travel and Leisure. So, how has Hotel St. Augustine been received?
Yeah, I think, we were obviously St. Augustine is an amazing space. I think it's a great part of the community. It's been received very well. I think anyone that comes to visit St. Augustine and does treat it as a kind of a place to relax outside the museum. We've really started to enhance some of the programming we have at St. Augustine through vinyl nights, which has been very well received and really become a staple in that community. So we're excited to get into year two and see how it continues to grow. And we've had great success with the restaurant and our partnership with Aaron Blue, which has been amazing. He's been a fantastic partner with us.
Yeah, well, I know I'm lucky enough to live in Houston and have visited St. Augustine. So, for those listening who have not had the opportunity, could you tell us a little bit about what's so unique about that area and kind of bringing these really unique hotels, not just to Houston, but to Texas, and kind of giving guests that Texas experience that's a lot more nuanced than just like what non-Texans might think of.
Yeah, I think St. Augustine was built. Obviously, it's adjacent to the Menil Collection and the Menil Drawing Institute in the Montrose neighborhood. So, we didn't want to compete with the amazing art that collection holds. And so, I think what we decided to do was not put art inside of our hotel. So you kind of have this minimalist experience. So you could spend a day at the museum and then relax in kind of a more of a surrealist design aesthetic when you're at the hotel. And it has kind of pathways and walkways and some good outdoor space. I know in Houston it's hot, so there's sometimes not a lot of time spent outdoors, but those times when you can, I think it's great to have so much space like within the city to be out and feel like you're kind of in a garden like atmosphere within such a metropolitan area.
Yeah, if you're going to be out and about in Houston, in the great outdoors, and if it's not too hot to actually do that, Montrose area is the best place to do that. So I think that really fits in with the neighborhood. So that's really unique about the St. Augustine is it's kind of it fits right into the neighborhood. Like you feel like it's been there this whole time, but it's only been there a year.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what we try to kind of create is like hotels that are more timeless and that can kind of withstand. So hopefully, this one, like our others, fits into the neighborhood for a long time.
What about the restaurant? I know you mentioned a little bit the work that you've gotten to do with Aaron Bludorn, but how kind of integral is the kind of restaurant hotel balance for the St. Augustine?
Yeah, I think it's integral. When you really want to be part of the neighborhood, you build a restaurant for the neighborhood. You don't build it for the hotel guests, and that's what makes a hotel guest want to eat at it, right? And so everything we do with food and beverage is built for the people that live there. And I think that is an important distinction. I think a lot of times people treat food and beverage at hotels as an afterthought and treat it as a little more cookie cutter where you can kind of plug and play things in. But we've always taken the opposite approach and really built it for, excuse me, the needs of what's there. So what's gonna sustain a restaurant is the people coming on a Tuesday night, not the Friday night hotel guest. And I think we've done a good job, and Aaron and Sharif who run that have done an amazing job continuing to build that. And obviously they're well known and loved in the Houston community. So we're excited to have them there.
Yeah, well, we would be remiss to not to take any longer to get to talk about Hotel Daphne, which is the newsiest part of our conversation because it opened today, the day that we're speaking, which is December 1st. But tell me about Hotel Daphne and its vibe and its what it's bringing to the neighborhood of the Heights in Houston, which is actually where I live. So it's really cool for
Great.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we think Hotel Daphne and Hotel St. Augustine are very different hotels in different neighborhoods. And so excited to have both of them there. Hotel Daphne is a little bit smaller. St. Augustine's at 71 keys and Hotel Daphne at 49. Um, and it was really designed and built to be like an extended living room. So the houses in the Heights area are old bungalow and generally smaller than some of the Houston neighborhoods. So maybe there's not room for families to stay or people that are traveling, visiting friends. And so we wanted to be that place that was kind of the extension of really of the neighborhood. And we have an all day restaurant and bar and a small library and a small event space, and we'll have a courtyard. And so trying to really create that feel of, pop in for a coffee, stay for a glass of wine, bring your laptop, meet some friends, and really try to be that place, which I think we were as we toured and experienced the Heights over the years, found that was missing. There's not really any hotel space that offer that in that specific part of Houston. So we're really excited. We designed this hotel in-house with our in-house design team, which is amazing. We've done some of our projects in-house, and this is one of them. So there's a lot of um, there's a lot of spirit, color, personality in it, and a lot of love. So we're all very excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a bit of a hotel desert in this because it's a big chunk of space between like two major highways and it's so residential and there's great restaurants and things to do. But yeah, there's really not that uh neighborhood hotel extended living room as you described it. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about some of the design elements and like hotel layout that really kind of serves that helps to serve as the extended living room concept.
Sure, yeah. So just like a little bit about the restaurant that's going to be in that space, called Hipsy, which is a nod to uh, candleless and drinking establishments that were in hidden homes during Prohibition in the Heights. So we kind of dug deep to try to figure out, what should go in that space and what's the right food and the right layout. And so we have a fireplace. There's like a library area where you can relax with a glass of wine. There's places that feel small and intimate that I think is generally conducive to feeling like you're in someone's home, right? As opposed to a large lobby bar or a large space that feels a little more conventional. So the you think like arts and crafts inspired, which it might sound weird, but that's kind of the inspiration and the architecture, kind of vintage meets modern a little bit. So trying to kind of take the past and bring it into the future of Houston Heights.
That's so cool. I cannot wait to see this hotel in person because that sounds really cool. And like I'm still picturing the St. Augustine, and so I need to actually see Daphne to.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Well, I'll get over there. Well, I think this is the most interesting thing I've heard about Daphne is that you actually opened earlier than anticipated, which I feel like never happened. So tell me about pulling it together early and getting to kind of make a debut a little earlier for once.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's earlier compared to our original timeline, but I think it's earlier compared to our announcement. So I think we'll take that. Yeah, we're working on a little bit of a phased approach. So there'll be more to come for Hotel Daphne in the coming year. But we really wanted to get the hotel open and wanted to do so before the holidays. So excited that we could pull it all together and get open.
Yes, well, it's so fun. I obviously live here and have lived here my whole life, but Houston really comes alive at the holidays. And I know a lot of people like to visit Houston this time of year because we're not freezing cold all the time.
Mhm.
So that's probably a good plan to catch the people coming to defrost a little in Houston, although we do get some random cold pops.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, we get, then we're open for getting into a busier time and getting in getting in before rodeo starts and all the fun that
Oh,
happens in
yes.
Houston in the spring.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it was great learning about Hotel Daphne and catching up on St. Augustine. What is Bunkhouse focused on in 2026? I love that we're getting to talk in December, right ahead of the new year. But how are you thinking of what 2026 will look like for Bunkhouse, and then maybe talk to me kind of bigger picture for Hyatt Lifestyle?
Sure. So I think, in 2026 and kind of beyond, our focus for Bunkhouse continues to be a lot of Texas and Mexico. So we have a few things that we're working on potentially in Mexico that we're excited about, and some more in Texas that hopefully we'll be able to announce soon. But that's the kind of the continued focus for Bunkhouse, kind of finding the special projects that we can really pour our heart and soul into, and make unique. And then, like I said, the team then on a greater Hyatt landscape is working on a lot of the JDB projects, which are exciting because we're adding a lot of, I think, value and creativity to some of those they're going to be opening. There's one that's opening in Brooklyn, and then another this year, and then another in South Carolina. So kind of expanding our creative reach a little bit into some of the other brands. And then for our other high lifestyle brands, which Standard, Andaz, Thompson, which we manage those brands out of the New York office with the original Standard um, team mixed with some of the team from Hyatt. We're continuing to focus on the U.S., both the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So we're opening Standard in Mexico City next year, which is really exciting. It's the first Standard project in Mexico, and obviously Bunkhouse has spent a lot of time kind of growing in Mexico. So we're excited to have both brands there in such a vibrant place, and obviously so close to Texas. So we get a lot of good Texas clientele that comes down.
Yeah, well, that's really exciting. I wonder, just to wrap up, if I could put you a little on the spot on lifestyle hotels, because I think we've seen a lot of momentum this year for lifestyle hotels. What do you think the future looks like for these types of hotels? If you had to guess what 2026 will bring, is it even more momentum? Are there certain trends or regions that you see as big opportunity for lifestyle hotels?
I think the biggest thing is kind of really being able to own it as a lifestyle hotel, right? I think a lot of people put a claim as their lifestyle hotel, but unless you live it and breathe it on a daily basis, you're kind of just a hotel, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Those they serve a purpose in all classes of hotels. But I think consumers know when something is truly part of that community and part of that experience that they want, as opposed to a more select service hotel. So I think it'll continue to grow, but I'm hoping that it grows in a way that is purposeful, right? And I'm hoping that it doesn't get swallowed up and just become another class that people don't of hotels that people don't have any expectation or don't really think to go to because they're kind of all the same, right? So how do you keep them distinct, and how do you keep them different? I think it's a challenge, but it's a challenge we liked, and which challenge we focus on a daily basis that we've been doing for a long time. So we will continue to do so, and it's not easy, but it's the passion of most of us, all of us that work on these teams and work on these hotels. So we'll continue to do so within the greater Hyatt group.
Yeah, I love that growth, but with some intention, it sounds like you're seeing.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for chatting with me today. It was great to catch up and learn about kind of Bunka House and Hyatt lifestyle and everything you're working on.
Well, great. Thanks for having me. And let me know once you get to the hotel.
I'm Terence Baker, News Editor, Europe, Middle East and Africa, and I'm the host of The Upgrade, a CoStar News Hotels podcast for the EMEA region. In it, I discuss with special guests the pressures, challenges, joys and exhilaration that comes with managing, owning and developing hotels in our glorious multifaceted industry. Discovering the EMEA region from the scenic northern shores of Norway to a heights of Table Mountain in South Africa, and most likely some chat about birdwatching, distance running and the English Premiership. Join us wherever you find your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify and on other platforms.
This episode of the CoStar News Hotels podcast was recorded on December 1st, 2025 and edited by Sean McCracken. Look for all of our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcast platforms, and visit costar.com/hotel news for the latest info on the global hotel industry.